Welcome to today's BPO podcast by Synergi. Today I'm joined by my colleagues Heba, Mohamad, and Ahmed at Synergi to discuss a little bit how the BPO is redefining the business landscape nowadays. And I will start by asking Mohamad to tell us how is Synergi adding value in the BPO, the business process outsourcing, when it comes to our clients.
Thank you, Soula, and always pleasure to have this gathering more and more. So basically, the BPO is probably at the most exciting times from whenever this concept started to exist. Reason being is that technology is reshaping it, but also the economic context is driving more and more force towards outsourcing some of the services. Back office functions are becoming more and more critical. They are becoming more and more sophisticated. And we can see more and more clients simply they get dragged into this. And the value added that we bring on the table is that actually we take over this burden, leaving them to focus on their business, obviously in a very competitive manner. But also the touch that we have brought in is this between brackets boutique touch, meaning that we have skin in the game. We are operators. We're very peculiar about the end deliverable, the project management. So all this, the client will see it as an added value, and actually they will consider you as not only as a service provider, but rather as an extension to their teams. Having said that, this leads to us becoming, in the way we do things, more like a catalyst, more like a business enabler, like a growth engine for them to go expand their markets, expand their services. And we have seen it with many of our clients. So we work with clients in Saudi Arabia, in the UAE, in other locations as well. And we have heard it from founders and CEOs. Actually, I can rely on people for me to focus on my business and my growth. And on one side. On the other side, actually we come as more like a strategy reshaper in a bit, in the sense that we decouple the back office functions and operations from the cost element for them to focus on their growth on one side, and for us actually to turn this into a profit agent and a value creator for the organization. And that's the biggest value that we bring on the table as Synergi.
Very interesting. You tapped on technology and the BPO, and I wanted to ask Ahmed, how is AI, what's the role of AI when it comes to BPO, and how is Synergy leveraging on that?
So I think in line with the value creation theme that Mohammed spoke about, we're seeing AI changing so much and so quickly. Week by week, we see so many new technologies coming up. But I think the dream of AI today, in terms of what it can do for businesses, is quite broad. What we see in practice on the ground is a lot narrower in terms of where the benefit lies for AI today. It's more in your operational areas. We see things like, for example, with one client where we're processing accounts payable for them, you see a lot of efficiencies in terms of being able to drive straight through processing. Instead of having two people running an accounts payable function, you have workflows developed relying on LLMs that can process these transactions and rely on a human in the loop at the end. So as opposed to two people doing that work on a full-time basis, you just have someone performing a review function at the end of the day and making sure that invoices are accurate before they're issued. But I think where the challenge lies is probably when it comes to integration, when you see so many different systems that exist in different organizations where a customer has potentially a separate ERP system, a separate CRM system, multiple spreadsheets as well. It's that integration between all these different interfaces. That's where we find that as Synergi, we add the best value, is bringing it together, making sure that the data flows are consistent, making sure that the data that is coming into the LLMs actually is also clean and what's needed to be able to get the best outcomes.
Great, thank you. When we talk about BPO, Hiba, we talk about two things. We at Synergy, we drive value, we grow companies, we help them scale, but also we help them save on cost. In terms of procurement, how important it is for companies and how critical to look at the procurement department to try to drive savings, and how can we at Synergy support them with that?
Yeah. So first of all, let's acknowledge the fact that procurement nowadays is not just purchasing or sourcing practice, but it has been moved to the center of the business because it directly impacts three key areas every CEO cares about, which is the cost, the supply continuity, and the cash flow. So with what's happening around us in the world now, this is not something temporary. For example, when the COVID hit, okay, we were all exposed to the risk of the single source supplier or the single market supply. And then the Red Sea crisis hit, and overnight shipping routes disrupted, lead times doubled, and of course the prices spiked. So this is where we add value here. If your procurement is not well structured with a strong base, and if you don't have a clarity on the spend, and if you actually not in control, then you will not only be inefficient, you will also be exposed. Your business continuity will be in risk. So this is where we add value here in Synergy. We come in and we build a resilient procurement that has full visibility with disciplined spend that can face any disruption, and at the end of the day, your margins will be protected.
Let me add maybe one point here. Actually, one of the things we take pride at Synergy is that a lot of the procurement support, evaluation, category management happens internally. Because we have a lot of internal expertise, okay, we rely a lot, say, when it comes to technology, when it comes to marketing, social media, media buying, and so on, or the other areas more on the administration side and property management facilities side. We rely a lot on internal expertise, which makes it extremely easy for a procurement person to rely on a network of internal agents that will help to deliver better results for clients. As we know, and as Heba mentioned, today procurement is extremely strategic, but also it's a very tactical, operational sector, in the sense that you need to negotiate, you need to understand the trade, you need to understand what's happening on the market, who are the buyers, who are the players, to be able to execute at best. And this is where the combination that Synergy brings on the table, from a strategic up to an execution level.
Very interesting. And the technology, Ahmed, when it comes to procurement, is it a bottleneck for the companies, or is it something that they really can rely on for procurement to save on cost, besides the scaling the business and growing their revenue?
So it depends on how the technology has been implemented. There's a lot of good technology platforms out there, and there's a lot of talk of predictive analytics, especially now, to be able to forecast your spend, to be able to manage cash flow and resilience in the supply chain. But I think where we see the challenges is not on the procurement systems themselves. The procurement systems are actually fit for purpose. It's more on the data cleanliness. A lot of clients that we work with today don't have enough insights and visibility into what their spend actually is. And so that makes it very difficult to run a lot of these predictive analytics. So that's why our focus is at least in the initial stages of any engagement with a client, is making sure that the data is actually there for us to be able to drive the spend optimization that we can achieve in the later stages of the project.
That's interesting, because also what you tapped on is important to check the performance and the spend and have that visibility. I'm seeing in the marketing, many companies, they don't have that kind of visibility when it comes to their marketing spend or tracking the campaigns, ROIs, and what is their budget, how much they spend versus budget.
True.
And this is very critical because they don't have the clarity, meaning they don't have the assessment and they cannot optimize for their next campaign. So what is important and what we've done with one of our clients is that we first of all started by putting the strategy of that campaign, the objective. Then we put the tools, we used the tools, the technology that we needed. And then we looked at the visibility of the track and we tracked the campaign and how much is spent versus the KPIs, the ROI of it. Moving on to the next campaign, we optimized it and we prepared a more successful one. And this is an important key element for any marketing to succeed. It's to look at the performance and the spend versus the goal and objective that was set. So yes, it's interesting. I want to talk a little bit about HR, Mohamad, and nowadays with the outsourcing and the BPO, yet there is the control and keeping things within the company and internal. When it comes to HR, if any company wants to outsource that function, how can they do it in a way where they can keep the control within, but they also outsource the expertise and capabilities to companies like Synergi?
So to go back to the point Ahmed mentioned, usually when we go into an engagement, there is an initial period of enablement. Okay, so enablement basically is making sure that systems, solutions exist, because the last thing we want as Synergi, and we usually, for us it's extremely important, we use systems to manage operations. Okay, so when we go into an engagement where the client has either not a very sophisticated system, or they are more relying on manual processes, and we still see this kind of client, the first thing we do is that we enable them with technology. Okay, we enable them with policies, procedures, SOPs as a step one. This foundations building will allow us to actually take over the engagement and move into operations BPO engagement. And on this, actually, since we build things in the mindset that somebody that will operate at a later stage, we make sure to tailor make to the needs of the client what they need. The last thing we want is to actually embark on an engagement where either we under-deliver or we do not meet the expectations of the client, because we would be actually creating our own redundancy in a way. So to your question, the control is fully within the client, because usually we work on their systems, we work within their boundaries, we work with their teams as well, be it on-site or remotely or on a hybrid model. All this actually is very doable. And the more and more we go into engagements, we identified our a quick, let's say, rule of thumbs, if you like, exactly what actually works and what doesn't work. And this is the added value that we bring on the table. Having said that, and I'll come back to the AI point, something we have noticed also is that there is a lot of expectations from the AI, and we truly believe in it, and we focus on it, and we use it in our day-to-day, and we actually sell it as a service to our clients. However, the actual differentiator would be combining AI with the expertise.
With the human element.
Exactly. And it's very obvious that the expertise we bring on the table from a Synergi side is the expertise of people who have had tremendous experience in large corporates, actually being faced with actual problems that our clients face on a day-to-day basis. And that's the added value. So combining this with the right technology, with the right AI tools in place, and the right chemistry makes the delivery extremely targeted to the needs of the client, rather than being just, and we hear it as well, I don't want to pay to another consultant, which we are not, because we are operators actually. And this differentiator makes us quite unique on the market.
Just to add to Mohamad's point there regarding that initial phase of the project, that is so critical, especially the process mapping that we do upfront on any engagement, because that is where we find the most value is created. That's where the process optimization happens. That's where we identify things that were previously manual that can now go into a system. Similar small things such as driving employee self-service in an HR context can make a huge difference, putting as much into those flows as possible. So just to emphasize, the process mapping at the start of the project is a massive focus for us on any engagement.
Interesting. And let me a little bit ask maybe all of us about the confidentiality and the data protection, because this is a very hot and serious topic nowadays, from procurement to HR and technology as well, and maybe marketing. What can we do here at Synergi? What are the governance that we put in place to make sure that the confidentiality and the secrecy of the client is very well maintained?
It's a very good question, Soula. Actually, for us, it's the most important, let's say, element that we have in our day-to-day operations. You know, every client is unique. Every client's data is confidential and proprietary. So for us, it's extremely important to preserve this, keeping in mind that the credibility is built on this kind of elements. Having said that, we make sure to have Chinese walls between our different clients. This is very important. Every client, data, management of their operations is completely separated from other clients. So on this, there is absolutely no risk, even the way we manage our resourcing. That's one. Two, we are very peculiar on the tools that we use to manage the client's data. So it's all automated, okay? We rely a lot on data residency as per the requirements of each and every jurisdiction where we operate and the client's requirements. But for us, preserving the data is critical in our engagement. And actually, to this point, actually, some clients actually they are surprised because we implement an extra layer of confidentiality that they wouldn't even have thought or asked about it. So we go the extra mile for them.
Interesting.
From a data confidentiality standpoint, this is not something that we take lightly. At the start of every engagement, it's critical that we align with every client on what their specific requirements are and what regulatory regimes are relevant to that particular client. Might be central bank regulations, it might be CMA regulations, or it might be federal or local government, Abu Dhabi government regulations. And each of them have their own specific requirements. In terms of data residency, the client might want people that keep the data on site physically at their premises, and we cater to that. If there are specific needs for data to stay in country, we of course cater to that as well. If there's a need for AI models to be leveraged, there we would, if the client has their own LLM in-house models that they use within their own localized environment, we would use those for any of the work that we're doing. So that ensures that the data never leaves their IT environment. So we're very particular in terms of the way that we operate.
That's very interesting, because when it comes to marketing, yes, it's important to keep the information for the client himself, but also when you go to a new client and you tell him, I have experience with your competitors and I have in the industry a lot of experience and I've run ads and digital advertising for similar clients, they get so happy. Yet you have to be very careful not to share any private information or how much you spent for the previous client, but the experience is very important, that we have done a similar work to similar type of clients, because they know that you've already optimized the spend, you've already improved, you know what works, what doesn't work, which platform to spend more is important for that type of business. But also you have to keep in mind that each client they own their information, there is privacy around that. So yeah, in marketing, it's a little bit of both. The experience is needed, but the secrecy and confidentiality is also critical.
Yeah.
For procurement, Heba.
Yeah. Just like all rightly said, in Synergi, we're not taking it lightly, especially in procurement, because in procurement, we're dealing with very sensitive data for the client, which is the spend data. And without ensuring the client that we are having the highest set of confidentiality in terms of NDAs, in terms of clauses, where the data set will be, how we will be handing over the data afterwards. So all this had to be set in the beginning, and we make sure that we are applying the highest standards.
يعني بطبيعة الحال عم يشهد قطاع التعهيد تغييرات ضخمة على مستوى المنطقة. طبعا في مبادرات كبيرة سواء بالإمارات أو السعودية أو الدول الثانية إلها علاقة بالمشاريع الضخمة اللي عم تصير حاليا. أوكي، وهذا عم ينسحب على مستوى الاقتصاد. فهذا اللي عم نشوفه حاليا بقطاع التعهيد. بالإضافة لهالشيء أغلب الشركات يعني عم تتعرض لضغوط كبيرة بما يختص بالأرباح التشغيلية والتكاليف بشكل عام، فبتحاول إنه تلاقي حلول إلى موضوع الأوبتمايزيشن بشكل عام. وفي عامل بعد يؤخذ بعين الاعتبار اللي هو الأوتوميشن والديجيتال ترانسفورميشن اللي عم تصير، والكثير من الشركات ما عم تعرف أو عم تكون سريعة بشكل ما عم تقدر تواكبها بشكل عام. هون يعني شركة مثل سينرجي نحن بطرحنا اللي هو نكون خدمات مشتركة للشركات، بنقدم خبرتنا وبنفس الوقت بنساعد أصحاب الشركات ونساعد المؤسسات ليكون تركيزها على العمليات أو على يعني تكبير الشركات بشكل عام أو الانطلاق إلى أسواق جديدة. عم نكون نوعا ما شريك استراتيجي بالنسبة لهم. والشيء المختلف اللي عم نقدمه إنه نحن يعني طريقة عملنا أكثر نكون جزء من العميل اللي بنتعامل معه، يعني ما عم نكون منظور إلينا ونحن ما طارحين حالنا،
مش كمستشارين
مش كاستشاري 100%، مش كاستشاري، بالعكس كجزء من تركيبة الشركة.
وقدام هم بالتيم بسينرجي محمد إنه بيحكوا كذا لغة، الإنجليزي والعربي بايلينغوال. قدام هم وقت اللي عم نتعامل مع شركاء بالميدل إيست، الشرق الأوسط.
فخورين جدا إنه عنا تعددية بسينرجي استثنائية، سواء من عدد الجنسيات الموجودة أو عدد الأشخاص الموجودين أو من ناحية ثقافية بشكل عام. جدا فخورين بهالموضوع. بس في بعد نحن كتير منركز عليه ومهم بالنسبة لنا. عنا فهم لطبيعة الأسواق اللي مشتغل فيها، يعني عنا بالفريق ناس بتفهم لنقول طبيعة السعودية والقطاع الأعمال بالسعودية وشو بيتطلب هذا القطاع. بنفس الوقت بنفهم طبيعة الحال الإمارات والأسواق العمل بالإمارات وطبيعة الشركات بالإمارات وطريقة شغلها. حتى الأسواق التانية اللي اشتغلنا فيها نتأكد دايما أنه عنا فهم الكافي إلى هالشركات. فمنعول جدا على شركائنا استراتيجيين. يعني سينرجي الموديل تاعنا هو طبعا في كتير منه قائم على الشراكات، بمعنى أنه نحن بنعرف حالنا أنه بكتير محلات بدنا نعتمد على ناس، بدنا نعتمد على شركاء بأكثر من مجال حتى نقدر نتقدم، وما منخاف من هالشي ومنحترم هالشي ومنحب هالشي ومنحب الشركات الصحيحة. ومن هون الحمد لله يعني بنينا علاقات ممتازة بأكثر بمكان يعني. ف يعني بالنسبة للنقطة اللي تفضلتي فيها سولا، طبعا نحن اليوم فهمنا لهيدي الأسواق كتير مهم، بس بنفس الوقت خليني شدد انه في بعض الاشياء بما يختص بالعمليات شبيهة جدا من سوق لتاني. يعني المشاكل هي تقريبا نفسها الى حد ما.
نعم.
اوكي، سواء من ناحية السيستمز والتكنولوجيز او من ناحية إدارة الموارد البشرية او من ناحية الماركتينج مثلا، الى حد بعيد. ونحن بسبب الخبرة او بحكم الخبرة اللي كوناها يعني قابليتنا نقدر ننفذ بشكل سريع ونتعامل مع احتياجات العميل سريعة. ونحن يعني التيرم بالانجليزي هو resilience ورياكتيفيتي، ونحن فعلا يعني هذا بالدي ان اي دي ان اي سينرجي موجود هالامر يعني.
Okay, good. Ahmed, I want to ask you about the at Synergi, we have multiple types of clients from various industries that they really go from extreme right to extreme left. When it comes to AI, and nowadays everybody's talking about AI, and they show muscles how much AI they are putting and embedding into their systems. Which industry, in your opinion, is mostly leveraging on AI to grow and to expand, and they're really doing it in a smart way, versus other industries that haven't even tapped on AI while they should?
In terms of industries, I think the GCC is quite unique here, and it's really positive to see in terms of it's more the public sector that's leading when it comes to AI adoption. Across the UAE, KSA, other countries, you see the government has their AI initiatives being driven from the top, and these are what are flourishing to start with, and you see the private sector following. Whereas in other countries, in the West, for example, it's more the private sector leading. So it's really good to see in this region that ambition, that vision is really coming from the governments.
Interesting. Mohamad, how can Synergy add value to the private offices, the private equity, family offices, industries?
Thank you. It's a great question. So one of the best partners to organizations such as family offices, private offices, diversified investment holding, or private equity is actually an organization such as Synergi, because we actually bring value to them in multiple ways. First of all, we are a ready-made shared services to be plugged into their systems depending on their needs. So this could be a new acquisition where they need a lot of transformation to happen. This happens a lot in the case of private equity, where they need an operating kind of partner, agent, transformation agent that comes in with different tools, products, to deploy and start the works. This could be in the case of investment holdings, private offices that are looking more for cost optimization, where they want to scale and actually find solutions in other locations, nearshore, offshore, and Synergi can be that agent. So shared services and all what comes under the theme of shared services is actually where we bring this value, keeping in mind that the beautiful part of BPO is actually anything potentially can be a subject of outsourcing except your core business.
Correct.
So this is the most interesting fact for this kind of organizations.
And just one thing to add on that. Every investor now, big and small, has a value creation team in-house. And the role of that value creation team is really to look at individual portfolio companies, but also to look at portfolio-wide synergies across the entire portfolio. And what they typically do is look for spend optimization. They look for, of course, growth opportunities across a portfolio. But they also look at process optimization and headcount optimization. And this is exactly what we do. Synergi is drive these types of optimizations across all of our clients. So there's a lot of value in us working with value creation teams within these investment houses.
Heba, nowadays we're seeing a shift in companies where they really want to look at outsourcing procurement. But what is the drive behind that?
The answer is simple. You can say speed, expertise, and cost. So, for example, at any BPO provider like Synergi, we come in with trained team, fully equipped with the right tools, system, and accountable for the result, which is the most important part, like plug and play. While in your organization, for example, your internal team are stretched keeping the business running, and external partner, just like us, We come in, we build the structure, we are accountable for a certain percentage of saving, let's say 5 or 10%, strategic sourcing, widen your supplier base, providing market insights and market benchmarks, where the internal team, they don't have the right bandwidth to build.
So they can just outsource a certain function
Exactly.
from the procurement.
So we can act as their extension to their team to lift them up on like a certain weakness. Maybe they need an update, they need a support. They don't have the right capabilities, they don't have the right resources. And at the end of the day, the result, you can see it, an optimized procurement function with a resilient supply base and linear operations. When you're not you're avoiding the extra cost of hiring a fixed resource and the overhead cost of, the extra headcount.
Thank you. Interesting. As a last take for today's session, which was very interesting, thank you very much. I want to, just one sentence, if I ask you, in your opinion, what makes Synergi different versus the rest of the BPO providers or maybe the rest of the consultants? What, in your opinion, is the one thing that makes it different?
So I think a lot of BPO players talk about being AI enabled. I truly believe we walk the talk there. Because we're seeing so much change in the space and the pace of change is so quick. We're honestly taking enterprise-grade solutions and offering them to small businesses and vice versa. We're able to offer cost-effective enterprise-grade solutions also to large enterprise. We're seeing that gap narrow quite a lot now. And so I think there's benefit across the board, regardless of the clients that we're working with. And that's what excites me the most.
I love that. Thank you. Heba?
I think the most value we care about in Synergi is the customer. So with the customer centricity and the speed of delivery, this is what we make us unique.
Thank you. Interesting. Mohamad?
For me, and I think initially that's why we built Synergi, is to have skin in the game with each and every client, because each and every client is unique. And for that matter, actually, there's not a single product, there is not a single service that we have offered to our clients that actually was not based on an actual need that we have faced either at Synergi or in a previous life. In another word, the solution to problems we bring to our clients are solutions to actual problems that they face with actual solutions that will bring value. And this is the biggest difference that I personally haven't seen it on the market. And this is the value proposition that we bring over, be it in this market or other markets as well.
And I think also the diversity of the team that we have. We have a diversified team with each one of us having, the exposure to different kind of organizations, companies, employers that we worked with.
True.
I think, this also adds.
Yeah.
What about you, Soula?
Exactly. The diversity and the seniority of some of us with a lot of experience coming with problems that we faced before, and then yet we're offering it as a solution to our customers. But also we have a very young blood within the team. They come in with fresh ideas. They rely a lot more on AI versus the senior team. So the combination of that internal team that we have is an added value to Synergi, and the clients are seeing it. They see the passion, they see the commitment, and they see a delivery that they have never seen before. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the return of clients that we're having, returning clients from one service and upselling to another service, is quite high at Synergi, because
Absolutely.
once they start dealing with us and they see the difference compared to other suppliers, this is where our added value is. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
It has been an interesting discussion. And until the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.